It's an Android smartphone that opens up to a much bigger screen. Let's check this out. Dave Taylor here, and I'm checking out this. This is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6. And as you can see, it's basically a tiny tablet, except you can fold it in half, and then, let me just wake that screen up, you actually have a fully functional, if somewhat narrow, Android smartphone this way too. So you can use this for calls, you can use this for taking photos, and then when you need to, you open it up and you get this beautiful double width screen. It's really slick. Now, this is the Fold 6, so this is the latest generation of the Samsung design, which means that it is more durable, it's lighter, and it's thinner. Let me show you. When I fold it up, it's actually pretty decent size. How big is it? Well, closed like this, it's 6 inches by 2.7 inches by half an inch thick, which, if you do the math, does not surprise you that it is 6 inches by 5.2 inches by 0.22 inches thick. So it is rather miraculous. It is just a big tablet, a big square device that you can fold up and use in either orientation. Now, right up front, I will tell you that you're going to really like your cleaning rag because it picks up fingerprints. By the very nature of how you use this, you end up touching it, and it just seems to not be so very oleophobic, as they call it in the industry. So unless your hands are nice and clean, you're going to be like, oh, let me clean it again. But not a huge problem. Now, let's talk some specs. So the cover screen, this is 6.3 inch diagonal display, and if we do it this way, you can see it is 2376 by 968 pixels. Now, when we open it up, it gets to be much more interesting because this is a 7.3 inch diagonal screen at 2160 by 1856, and you, yes, can use it in this orientation too. Did you see how it spun around? Probably works better this way, but it actually has those orientation sensors, so I could have like a movie here or YouTube video, and then I could be working down there, which is pretty darn cool. Otherwise you'd need two phones to do that. So let's see, it has a raft of cameras. In fact, it has 5 different cameras. On the back there are 3. A 50 megapixel f1.8 wide, a 12 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide, and a 10 megapixel f2.4 telephoto. In this mode, there is a selfie cam. You can see the little hole punch there, a 10 megapixel f2.2. But they didn't forget what happens when you have it open underneath the screen. And it's interesting because there's no hole punch. It's just sort of this secret camera. There's also a selfie camera here. It is the slimmest of the batch. It is 4 megapixels at f1.8. And I know you're like, ooh, let's get into some demos. So let's get into some demos. I got a ton of photos and a ton of videos, so let's check them out. Let's start with a wide angle shot, and this is at 0.6x. Then this one is at 1x, 3x, and 4x. Notice how clean and crisp these images are. Then let's check out a panorama real quick. Obviously, that's really cool. Selfie, and this was using the outside camera. It's important to differentiate because there are 5 cameras on this phone. Then let's check out night view, and the Samsung has really good night shots. So here's my street with a car driving away, and then here's the sky. I literally put it on a tripod and just pointed straight up and took this shot at about 11 p.m. Pretty darn impressive. We should also talk about macro, because when I took close-up shots, as you can see, they came out really nicely. But when I did a digital zoom, what was on the screen was crisp and clear, but what it captured was a little bit underwhelming. Let's switch to video, starting with wide angle video. And then 1x video, 3x video, very impressive 6.6x video, and then slow motion, time lapse, and it has a really slick feature called dual record mode. So let's check that out. This is dual record mode, and the fold is folded up, which makes it a lot easier to have on my tripod. But as you can see, it's really pretty awesome that you can actually have yourself as an inset, and you can be explaining what you're showing people with the other camera on the other side of the phone. Then here's a video selfie using the outside camera. This is a selfie video, and it's doing a pretty good job. You'll see on the bridge behind me that cars will go by occasionally, but overall, I feel like it's doing a really good job of my face and all the colors around me and filtering out all the background noise so you can hear me talking. And then a video selfie using the inside camera. For this demo, I have the phone halfway folded so I can see myself. It's using the selfie camera, but I also have it in sort of this position, maybe sideways. You can see that a little better. And it's doing a good job. The light source is there, so it's not really illuminating my face well, but you can see and you can hear it's doing a good job. The whole experience of using this is just really crazy different. It's really fun. So like in the web browser, from reading a news site, you can see the experience is just really different. It's just, we're not used to having so much screen real estate on a smartphone. And then if I go back and I go into Notes, Notes is one of the most fun apps here, and Samsung's been really working on it so that you can actually add images, you can do recordings of audio, you can actually have those audio turned into transcripts, you can take photos and integrate them into it. There's a lot it can do. A lot of that is because it relies on what they call Galaxy AI, but I'll just real quickly show you that you can also just draw on it. So let's see, whoops, let's get to here, to the sketch mode, and I know it's upside down, but you can see I don't have the right kind of stylus, but I have a sort of mock stylus, and that's good enough that you can see my fantastic artwork here. Not going to win any awards with this, but the more you take the time to learn it, the better you're going to get at this. And here's one really cool thing. So I'm using the Notes app here. If I close the phone, the Notes app just keeps running on the outside screen. And you can do that with any app that you want. So you could do that the opposite way, where you start with it on the small screen, and then you open it up because you decide you need more screen real estate. Now, notice something else here that's a bit of a design mistake, I think, is that all the cameras are on this side, but there's nothing to balance on this side. So it ends up being wobbly. So it's wobbly, open, and closed. So if I open it up, I have that same thing here where it's just not laying flat. Now, you might solve that by having like a tiny little rubber tab here or something on the outside, but then you're literally putting that on top of or in front of your screen. Unless there's a little case that has a corner that maybe has a slight piece sticking out, that would solve the problem too. But I'm not sure how they get around that, because obviously the cameras stick out. But when they stick out, you then have the four-legged chair with one leg a different length. So there's no way to get around that. It's worth knowing. If you're going to be on hard surfaces, you might find it a little bit annoying over time. So that's something to be aware of. Now, more specs. So let me just open this up. And I do like that picture. That's an AI generated picture. Part of what you can do is you can go into the wallpaper app and you can now choose to have AI generated images where you have some ability to tweak it. You can't just give it a completely random prompt, but it does give me the ability to do soft focus purple flowers. Pretty nice. Now, Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, it's an octa-core CPU. It's very fast. It's plenty fast enough to power all of the technology here, including all of the cool AI, particularly noticeable in the photo editing, which is where it really shines. It has two memory options, 256 gig or 512 gig. That's a lot of storage in a world where we have cloud storage too. And you get both the Samsung UI universe and all of the Samsung apps and everything. And you also get Google/Android. So you have a lot of options even built in terms of storage. The battery, 4,400 milliamp hours, so you have a ton of battery time. Because there's so much real estate for them to work with, they could really tuck batteries into a lot of places. So you get up to 44 hours of talk time. You can get more if you're watching movies or something. And of course, if you're doing something like this to watch movies, oops, did it again. Let's make sure the camera's on the top part. But if I'm doing it like this, I could watch this probably for a around the world plane flight. Now, I think I might have some fatigue along the way, but we won't talk about that. So, up to 44 hours of talk time. It also is one of the very first phones on the market to have Qi 2, which is the next generation of wireless charging. It's much faster, and there are some magnets involved. So if you've been looking at your iPhone friends and saying, that MagSafe's kind of a cool design, this should have all of those same features. Now, also, Android 14, Galaxy AI, it is 5G, LTE, GSM, quad band. You should be able to use this phone anywhere in the world, from Mumbai to Berlin to Shanghai to Washington, D.C. It's going to be able to pick up whatever's there and let you connect. Also Bluetooth 5.3 and dual eSIM. So you can actually use this for a two-line phone. Let me give you some close-up photos. Let's start with just some edges of the device, starting with the bottom. These are in fold mode, but you can see on the bottom there is a cutout on the top portion for a speaker, and then on the lower portion is USB-C. On the right-hand side is, on the top portion, a SIM slot. On the bottom portion, power and volume up and down. On the top, there is another matching cutout for the other speaker, so you get nice audio on both sides. And of course, there is the hinge that actually says the word Samsung on it, so that looks really nice. And then on the back, you can see you have those three cameras, and then slightly offset, you have that flash. And that's about it. There is a charging sort of space there, but modern phones are better and better designed with wireless charging, so you don't have to worry so much about positioning it just so. It'll do that work for you. So, I've given you specs, I've shown you tons of demos, I have given you the ability to look at this and to see how speedy it is with different apps and stuff. And if I launch this game, everything just zips along. It's really pretty nice. We'll just go and okay that and allow this. And I don't even know what I just said yes to, but hey, isn't that how we all work with those shrink wrap agreements? And so this game's going to get started, but I'm going to go back to the home screen. And there's a lot to like here. I have, like I said, a couple of little quibbles with it in terms of things like it not laying flat. And yes, you are going to be able to see that there is a crease. But it's remarkable how unnoticeable it is when you have it fully open. If you look at it at an angle, you can see that. But when you're looking at it straight on, it really vanishes. And in terms of durability, well, I can't tell you what this is going to look like in 2 years, but I will tell you that this is the Fold 6. And every generation, Samsung makes this better in that regard. So it's really slick. I have a friend who has one of these, and he just loves it. He almost never uses it in fold mode. I always see him like this, and he is a big sports nut. So he always has like ESPN and all the stats and everything. And when we're watching games, he'll be like this, and he'll be like checking out the stats and everything. And that extra screen real estate is a game changer for him. It's really cool. There's a lot here to like. Now, it is one of the two folding phones that Samsung has. They also have the Flip 6, which now this one folds sideways. Imagine if instead you had a phone that folded this way, and that's what the Flip 6 is. And I've already reviewed that. You can check out my review with lots of demos, and I really love the Flip 6. I like the Fold 6, but the Flip 6 is like game changer level phone design. It's really pretty cool. But either way, if you're looking for more screen real estate, if you're looking for a different way to interact with your phone so that you get more out of it and have more functionality, it's pretty hard to beat this. So I definitely think this is one you should check out. Now, we do need to talk about price, but before we get there, I'm going to ask you to subscribe to my channel. Click or tap on that subscribe button, hit that bell icon for notifications, give me a thumbs up if you found this of value, and if you think I missed something, go ahead and please leave me a comment or two, and let me know what you wish I would have covered or demonstrated. This is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6, and it comes in silver, pink, or navy, and since there's so many screens, it's really just this portion that's a different color, and it is a spendy device. At the smaller memory storage capacity, it is $1,899.99, or at att.com, $52.78 times 36 months. Either way, att.com, AT&T kindly sent me this phone to review. I really appreciate that. That is a lot of money for a smartphone, $2,000 out the door. But if you think about it as just a smartphone, then you're going to say, oh, there are much less expensive options. But if you think about it from the perspective of what I'm showing you right here, which no other smartphone can do, and you think about how much screen real estate there is and how that might change your entire experience, then this is one worth looking at. That's all I got. Hope to catch you in my next video.